Talk Show.
Recorded live. Hello, everybody. You're listening to the Genesis Science Fiction Radio Show, a service of the BlackScienceFictionSociety.com website. Check it out. This is the May 31st, 2013 edition, and our special guest is Andre Batts. You know what? I didn't even ask you that. Andre, are you a Detroit or a Michigan native?
Detroit, Michigan.
That's where you grew up?
I grew up in Detroit. Yes, I'm a native of Detroit, Michigan.
All right, and so he's a native of Detroit, Michigan. He is a self-published creator of Detroit's urban-style comics, and if you want to take a look at the website while we're doing the show, it's www.urbanstylecomics.com. And he's also, I guess, associated, and you could tell us in a second how, with the MotorCityBlackAge.weebly.com website, which is basically the Motor City Black Age of Comics website. Is that right?
It's MotorCityBlackAge.weebly.com.
Yeah, Weebly.com,
yes.
yeah.
Okay.
and what? Yeah. Now, obviously, you do comics, correct?
Correct.
And about how long have you been working in this genre?
I've been drawing comics, all my life since I was reading them as a young child. I've been drawing comics forever, but as far as me starting to create my own brand, that started in the early mid-90s. When I came up with the character Dreadlocks and a few other characters from Black Watch. I formed like a group initially, and then I decided to do an offshoot and just have Dreadlocks as the flagship character in order to drive more people or draw more fans into the urban style comics brand. So it's been since like 1995, I would say.
And so having been drawing all your life, I mean, I assume you started out, in elementary school pretty young?
Like, most kids, doodling for the most part. I was drawing pictures like, Black Panthers, basically mostly Marvel comic characters. I started really young. And I got into writing as time progressed.
And so, I mean, okay, so you start out doing the drawing. Obviously, you're influenced by Marvel's art and Marvel's characters. And then what happened, like in high school and, post-high school? When did you start developing your own clear storylines and maybe your own creative characters?
Actually, I didn't start that until maybe 88, I would say, and I was out of high school at that point. I had stopped drawing for a while during high school. I think in my 11th grade year, I stopped drawing as much, and I was a little distracted by other things that was going on. But for the most part, I got back into my art in the late 80s, and I started designing characters, that look like us for the most part. Because still, I went back into reading Marvel again. When I got back into Marvel Comics, I still wasn't seeing that proper representation of us, so I started designing my own characters.
And so where do you think you drew from, that creativity? Do you think it's something that you had innately, or was it driven by the fact that, okay, there's not a lot of characters, superheroes, published, whatever, about, of people of color, of Black folks? I mean, how did that all manifest itself, do you think?
Actually, it was a little bit of both. And, as far as the art is concerned and the development of the character, Dreadlocks, and I think the explosion had taken place when we had the conscious hip-hop. Reggae, to me, was a big thing at that point in time, where a lot of messages were being put out in music or whatever that made me more conscious of what I was drawing and what I was writing. And with that being said, that's when I decided to make most of my characters, basically all black for the most part, and have other ethnicities involved as well. But the majority would be a representative of us as opposed to what we were already seeing in the mainstream.
Sure. So you said you quit a little bit after school, and then what brought you back to it? Was it just getting back into comics again,
well,
or was there?
When I got back into comics again, like I said, when I got back into comics, I wasn't seeing any representation of us,
right,
whatsoever. So I still read the comic books and enjoyed them, because they have very good storylines. But by me not seeing enough of us, I decided I would start, designing my own characters and see how far that would take me. And I had met a brother named Todd Johnson and Larry Stroman. They're right out of Detroit when they started Tribe Comics from Image. And I discussed a few ideas with them, and, to no avail, nothing happened out of it, but they liked where I was going for the most part. And so I just decided if they could do that, I could, start up my own publication, as well as, I had a collection at this time of big city comics, Brother Man.
Sure.
So by me collecting these books, as well as the one Tribe that I had, that motivated me to get more into drawing my own stories or whatever, because it wasn't being seen, but I seen that other people also had this same drive as well.
Mm-hmm.
And by me seeing that motivated me even more, by seeing that it could be done.
Yeah, there's a little bit of encouragement seeing that you're not breaking absolutely new ground, which can be kind of a little, it can look daunting.
Right.
So other than, the Marvel universe that wasn't very representative, what other kinds of things influenced you?
Well,
you mentioned the music part.
Music, Public Enemy, X-Clan, Parliament Funkadelic. They used to have all types of art on their covers, as far as album covers. When I grew up, I was drawing a lot of that, so
mm-hmm.
By doing this, it kind of like put me in the mindset of what should I be drawing? What should I be writing? What should I be designing?
Uh-huh.
And that all that music and, like I said, art that I was seeing and just books that I've read, all of that influenced me in creating Dreadlocks and the whole universe of Urban Style Comics.
So you obviously you have your own creative universe.
Mm-hmm.
Did you have other people who may have helped you along the way, or was this all a creation of your own imagination?
Well, when the Urban Style Comics first started, it started with maybe about four other individuals.
Okay.
With me and a brother named Kevin Hallman. He had a character, or actually he had a group called Emoja, as well as a character called Sachiko. That was part of the Urban Style Comics universe as well. We were the ones that was really putting Urban Style together and putting it on the map as far as going to the different shows and things of that nature. So we fed off each other, and we motivated one another. And, the more we did that, the more we could do. We worked together initially, but then, things had transpired in his life, and he had to move to Philadelphia, and some other things had taken place in his life. So I'm still in Detroit, so I kept Urban Style moving. But, of course, the doors are still open to the brother because he's still writing stories.
Sure.
So we're still, Urban Style Comics as a combination, and also have my other partner. He's behind the scenes, Christopher Irvin. He's more or less our web man. He does all the graphic designs, and he's the art director as well of Urban Style Comics. So we have a three-person team, but we kind of spread out a little bit right now. But I'm really the face of Urban Style Comics.
Yeah, but that's one of the things that today's technology helps facilitate.
Right.
You don't have to be in the same area. Like right now we've got Jarvis running the show behind the scenes from Tennessee. You're in Detroit, and I'm here in Chicago. 2 weeks ago, there's a collaborative partnership between two people who have never met. One's in Canada, one's in the U.S. So I think that having access to the technology and the tools makes that a lot easier and a lot easier to pull off. Not only that, but you're exposed more so to people, like-minded people, who you may not have met otherwise. So I think all of that works out to all of our benefit to be able to use that kind of technology. So now, is the comic venture successful enough so that it's let's say your primary source of revenue, or are you building up to that? Where is that in terms of a successful business model?
Well, it would be a successful business model in the sense of if the capital was there, and I could be in 20 different places at once. There's so many individuals that want access to urban style comics. Either overseas, in India, Australia, Spain, Argentina, Mexico, California, New York, Detroit, all these different places. They want you all at once, and you're not able to make that because it's not bringing in that type of capital.
Well, sure.
But at the same time, it's good and it's an enjoyable venue, and I love the fact that I'm getting more people involved. It probably I'll probably end up being like a Stan Lee or something like that. I always compare myself like a black Stan Lee. How Marvel was really big to us or whatever. Really, it wasn't as big as we thought. And the next thing you know, it became bigger once the other companies bought into Marvel.
Well, I mean, seeing you as that kind of, I don't know, maybe let's just call it a superstar. I mean, stop and think about it. If you have the opportunity for your work to engender, the kind of like movie industry success that Marvel has, maybe you'll be doing a cameo in every movie just like Stan does.
Yeah, I would love it if that happened.
So that brings me to another question. You have the success that you have with the comics. Have you thought of branching out to any kind of animation, shorts, movies, anything like that, or are you at the point now where you're just concentrating on keeping the comic going and building on that?
Well, we're in the process of working on an animated movie for Dreadlocks right now as we speak. Our brother, he's out of Atlanta, Robert Mathis. He's working on a 3D animated movie for Dreadlocks, and it's slated to be out, like I said, in mid-August. And then eventually, if people respond to it a certain way, then we're looking at a series or whatever. And then also we're looking at possibly, letting other companies see it, like, Adult Swim, other networks, like Adult Swim and Cartoon Networks, to see what, they think of it, and maybe we can make something happen that way. That's one avenue. Because Robert Mathis, like I say, he's the one that's really in control of that. And then we have music that we're working on as it relates to Dreadlocks, Urban Style Comics, mostly done by a brother named Mark Blackshear, better known as Poetic Menace. But the comics will always be, the face of Urban Style Comics, but I want all media, all types of media as it relates to the comic book world, because we have digital comics, we have audio comics. I just want to be able to touch everything that's related to comics that can actually get it out there, because everyone don't necessarily read, comic books.
Right.
Some people like reading just graphic novels. Some people just want to hear the story. Some people just want to see the story. And, it's like you want to cater to everyone for the most part.
Yeah.
So I want to cover all avenues.
Yeah, you mentioned earlier that you're getting feedback, basically worldwide feedback. What's that like? And are they seeing your work online, or are they purchasing your work? Or tell us a little bit about what's going on with people from other cultures who are checking out your stuff.
Well, the main thing about the other cultures or whatever is dreadlocks, I guess, is what's appealing to everyone.
Mm-hmm.
They'll see dreadlocks, and it's like, when you think about music, or Rastafarianism or roots reggae, they call it world music. And everybody seems to be able to identify with dreadlocks. So the reaction is always positive. I've never gotten anything negative from anybody as far as overseas or abroad or whatever. I've never gotten anything negative from anybody overseas. Just like they see this character and they're like, wow, we need to get, access to this over here. And we're, some of them I am trying to find a way to put it in their market. But it's going to happen sooner or later. The dreadlocks will be in these different countries or whatever once I'm able to tap into their market.
Now you're talking hard copy?
Hard copy, digital.
As opposed to digital distribution?
Both.
Okay.
Because right now I'm working on I have a digital deal with the company right now to get my books over in India and parts of Asia right now. And once everything transpired, then my books will be over there digital-wise.
Mm-hmm.
Hard copy, I'm looking at that as well. But I'll be looking into, possible printer over in, China or India to actually be able to ship the book from there to where they are.
Well, I mean, print on demand makes it very easy for you to have, hard copy disseminated or selling hard copy overseas because the shipping is much, much less to just, to ship on the same continent rather than have to ship overseas. Correct.
So that's what I'm looking into right now. 'Cause this is a business that you really have to study, while you're a part of it and you're enjoying what you're doing. You also have to study what you're doing and really try to master your craft as much as possible.
Yeah, a lot of people don't realize how much of a business it is, and that all of the components of being a successful distributor are more time intensive than actually sometimes creating the art in the first place.
Right, and that's why I don't mind utilizing other artists while I do this. I don't mind using. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I don't mind using other artists at all because that makes room for me to move and shake. If I need to get the book over in India, Japan, China, then it allows me the room to do that.
Okay. So as you said you kind of got away from art, then you got back into the comics, you were reading the comics again. Talk about some of the more difficult hurdles you faced, as I said, gearing up to become a business. What were some of the setbacks? What were some of the fortunate things that you ran into? And did you get some help along the way?
Well, I'll start with the setbacks. Let's start with that.
Okay.
The setbacks, I'll say, started with the comic book convention, per se, that we're geared towards all the comic book geeks and nerds, things of that nature. And, here I am, I'm sitting right along with them. I have my book, or I have pictures that I've drawn. I don't even have a book yet, and I go to these artists that are well established in the industry, asking them what do they think of, this character, what do they think of the artwork. And for the most part, you really got shot down a whole lot by a lot of these different artists that were drawn for these bigger companies. They didn't own the companies. They were drawing for the company, meaning they were freelancers.
Right.
But they were big to us because of their name. So you're showing them your work, and they're like, man, you need to, scrap this or whatever. You're not going to be successful and all this kind of crap. And I'm like, well, okay. So eventually, my brother, he told me, with your job, that you just started, man, you really can finance your own projects.
Sure.
All you have to do is just, and then that's when I started reading different books on self-publishing, selling comic books, distribution. And I started reading a whole lot as it relates to that. Because I was already reading other literature or whatever. But as far as the business of comics or the business of books and magazines in general, I read up on all of that, and that helped me a lot. And that pushed me and motivated me more into knowing that I could actually get out here and produce a book. And some people will like it, some people will be offended by it, some people won't like it, and some people will love it.
Right.
And that's what I was aiming for once I learned that, because all of that, whether they like it or love it or dislike it, all of it gave me more publicity or whatever. Then more people start gravitating to what I was doing, and then that helped out with my distribution or whatever. I'm able to distribute my own books.
Well, it probably also helped you, just on a personal basis, to see that you are creating a successful business model. Especially after having, I joke about it because it's like only black people could invent a term like haters. But sometimes when you go and you talk to people, and the first thing that they want to do is put you down or try to dissuade you from going forward, rather than maybe offering something a little more constructive, or even letting you know if you're really completely off base with what you're trying to do.
Right.
So, I mean, you did what most people don't do. Most creative people, most writers don't do. You went and you actually did some research, and most don't. And I don't say that, to be a hater or anything, but a lot of people don't do their due diligence, and you should be commended for having done so, because what it did was it pushed you into pushing for success rather than dissuading you from going forward.
Correct. I agree with that. That was my motivational tool or whatever, because that's what I meant earlier when I spoke on learning the craft. And then not only learning the craft or whatever. See, I have a love for comic books, just period. I love comic books and graphic novels.
Sure.
I also see that there's something missing in urban America, and it's the literacy. The literacy is missing in urban America. So with that being said, my books are geared towards, urban youth, not necessarily just American, but urban youth, and even suburban youth. Everybody reads the books. But for the most part, the literacy needs to pick up, and I see comic books as a form or a way to help pick it up, in the urban regions throughout the world.
All right, so you went to some of those Comic Cons early. Do you attend many cons now?
Well, now I really don't do as many as I would like to do, because I have my favorite cons that I would love to do every year, but priorities. Some of my priorities can't allow me to go out there, like San Diego Comic Con.
Sure.
New York Comic Con. These are two I would love to be like. I would be there every year if I could.
Sure.
Because I have I get a good response in San Diego. Like never before. New York was good when I went out there. But the cons that I've been participating in the most that I like doing now are like the East Coast Black Age of Comics, Onyx Con in Atlanta. And as well as my own con right here, the Motor City Black Age of Con and Black Age of Comics, and Detroit Fan Fair right here in Detroit, C2E2, which It's 4 hours away from here.
Yeah, were you here this year?
I wasn't there this year, but I was there last year.
Oh, good, because I didn't see you, so
yeah,
I just wanted to make sure. Oh, wait, no, I didn't go either. I'm so sorry.
That's why you didn't see me.
Well, you know what? I didn't go this year because I was busy. I'm trying to get a book out, and I admit that I should have gone. I really should have gone. You know, some people who I knew were here, and then I found out that some people who were helping with me with some artwork for my book, one of them wanted to come, but didn't have a whole lot of money. But, you know, if I would have known that, he could have stayed here because, I mean, it seems like the atmosphere at these things can be, it's positive, it's exciting, and it seems like one of the few things you can do, except for the guys you ran into, where you go and you see people who are into the genre, into the art, into the creativity, and for the most part seem very supportive. You know, it's like if somebody sees a little bit of what you do and they go, that looks really good, that's huge, especially when you're in that environment with all those people.
Well, now, you know, with the East Coast Black Age of Comics and the Motor City Black Age of Comics and OnyxCon, as well as they had the Black Age of Comics out there in Chicago, now we get a lot of that. And even now with the Wizard World Comic Cons, you get that now. Whereas back in the days when Image first started, you weren't getting that because I think it was only room for Marvel, DC, Dark Horse, and Image at that time. Because Image just blew up out of nowhere, and I think everybody was really concentrated on Image.
And I think that the other thing that has made these far more successful for independents is the era of self-publishing and printing on demand.
Yes.
You know, you're not you know a comic company like, you know, you don't have just like in regular publishing the big five who control 95% of the what gets on the shelves.
Right.
You can actually spend your money, put together your own displays and everything, go to these shows and put on just as good a show, maybe not as expensive as everybody else, because what you're doing is you're showing what you've got without the added expense, you know?
Correct. I agree. And that's what I've been doing.
That's great. Yeah. Now, one of the things that I would like to ask you to do, if you remember to do it, whenever you're going to appear someplace or go to these things, even if it's in town, what have you, I would ask that you come to the site, to BlackScienceFictionSociety.com, and put it on the events calendar so other people can see where you may be showing up and can come and support you, talk directly to you, pick up your stuff directly. But it's just a way that I want all of the creative people at BlackScienceFictionSociety.com to be able to just go to the calendar and go, oh, look what's coming up this weekend. And, you know.
I can do that.
Yeah,
I can do that.
Great.
As a matter of fact, someone had found me on the Black Science Fiction site maybe 6 months ago, I think it was. It was a science fiction convention right here in Detroit. Actually, yeah, it was Detroit. And that's where they found me, and they looked me up, and they had me sit on their panel to talk about black science fiction and how we were excluded from science fiction in general.
Well, I mean, come on. We had, 50 years of movies and TV shows where there were no black people in the future.
Right.
Or if they were in the future, they were wearing a red jersey and were dead in 6 minutes.
Man, you should have seen the way some of these people was reacting once I started talking. I thought it was about to be a riot up in there, but it was funny because most of them seen what I was saying and they started agreeing. But one lady, she just couldn't get it. And, it seemed like the whole audience was just jumping on her after that.
Well, I mean, what was
she didn't want to hear. She didn't want to hear what I had to say. You know what I mean? So she thought, because I'm coming from the comic book world, comics, which is science fiction. And this is what I was trying to explain to her, but she didn't see it as science fiction.
What did she think you were? Some sort of dark rabble-rouser?
I don't know what she thought I was, but needless to say, the air was clear before the evening was up.
Well, that's good. At least you all came to some positive consensus.
Yeah, we did, because her husband came up to me and told me, man, she's crazy. That's my wife. He said, that's my wife, but I want a copy of your book right now.
Yeah, he said, yeah, you had her for 15 minutes. I got to live with her for the rest of my life.
That's right.
Oh, man, that's good. So do you do a lot of panel work? Have you, over the year, do you get the opportunity now that you're, much better known?
Well, I'm getting ready to, I haven't done any panel work in a while. I do pin-ups for the most part, and I had gotten into a lot of oils and abstract type painting in the past couple of years, and so I kind of got into that as well, which I was already, by me being an artist or whatever, to me an artist is somebody that can cover all genres of art. One thing I can't do is airbrush, but the rest of them I can do. But as far as panel work is concerned, I'm getting ready to, I put this out on the air right here. Within the next couple of months, by next year, I should say, the original books that I drew of dreadlocks will be redrawn by me again.
Wow.
Because,
now,
we did those.
Sure,
well,
go ahead.
Back then when those were done, they were hard copies. We didn't have access to
the digital
computers.
tools.
Yeah, the digital and all that. So now I'm able to do it, scan it in, and do it the proper way now. So everyone that was following dreadlocks from the initial book will get a taste of what they started off with again.
Yeah. Now, somebody wants to know: is there someplace online where they can check out your panel? Some of your canvas work, some of that kind of art.
Well, as far as my canvas work, I haven't posted any of that. As a matter of fact, I did a show last week called Brothers in Motion.
Okay.
And that was actually the first time I showed any of my actual painting that I've done. And the response was really good, It was really good. And that's the only time people have ever even seen any of my paintings. Mm-hmm. As far as panels are concerned, they won't have access to the panels at all.
Let me ask you this. How much of your canvas art do you have? How many pieces do you think you have?
I may have 7 pieces.
Just 7 of your canvas work from your whole life?
Yeah, 7. Well, I have to, see, some work was destroyed or whatever because, I had this major flood in my basement some years ago.
Oh, man, yeah.
So with that being said, a lot of work was destroyed because I had work that I had did when I first went back into painting, like when I started oil painting.
Sure.
A lot of it was destroyed from the flood or whatever. So that's why I only have 7 good pieces.
Yeah, my maintenance guy for this building that I live in, he set our place on fire a couple of years ago, and I don't have any kind of art like you, and fortunately, the writing I do is all digital. Excuse me, and it's backed up, in multiple places and on the cloud. But I mean, it's got to be heartbreaking to have something like that, and then through the vagaries of a flood to lose essentially what's irreplaceable. I mean, yeah, you can go and repaint them, but it's not the same. It's not the same. Yeah. Because we had another artist before, and unfortunately, I don't have the sense of a houseplant, so I can't remember his name. But one of the things that I like to see artists like you do eventually is take your earlier art all the way to the present and think about putting together a coffee table book that shows the evolution of your talent and even, what it was that, that motivated you, and to be able to put that together and not so much to make money. Yeah, it's great to make money. Yeah, you'd love to sell 100,000 copies. But with self-publishing being as cheap as it is, it's like a pretty cool historical perspective of who Andre is.
Yeah, I agree.
You see what I'm saying?
I agree. When I did my second Black Age of Comics right here in Detroit, I had a display up with the original covers as well as the later covers at that time Brother Machindo had did. He did like 3 covers for me at that time, and it showed the evolution and the progress and the process of what I had been through or whatever, and the changes that had taken place with dreadlocks, as dreadlocks concerned.
The other thing that a book like that does is it inspires the young. You know, when teenagers take a look at it, they go, man, you know, I'm right here. Look at this. This is just like my stuff, and look what he went and did just from that. I mean, it's inspiring, and it's like remote control mentoring. So
it is.
Do you do any community outreach, work with teens anywhere or anything right now, or are you kind of tied up into getting the business moving the way you want it to move?
Well, I'm being invited to. Well, I'm usually invited to different schools. Whatever I did, something at the Ypsilanti Library maybe 3 months ago. I was out there, and I talked to a lot of the youth out there. Then I was supposed to go to one of the high schools right here in Detroit this week coming up. So yeah, they reach out, and then I ask them basically if they have the time or whatever in the space, then I'll come up there. They just need to let me know in advance, and then I'll and I can put it together, and I'll be there and talk to the kids. And particularly, I like to go into and I always ask them, is it an art class that I'm dealing with? I ask them that all the time because, I really hate to go into, which I've been in one, an English class or whatever, and it has nothing to do with, art. But it does have something to do with the writing aspect of it.
It does, because you still have to do a compelling story. Hang on a second. You're listening to the Genesis Science Fiction Radio Show. This is the May 31st edition, 2013. We're talking to Andre Batts, the creator of Detroit's Urban Style Comics, and you can check him out at www.urbanstylecomics.com. And this is a service of the Black Science Fiction Society.com website. A lot of comic creators tend to underplay, kind of like you did, the fact that you have to be as much a writer and as effective a writer because, you're talking about a story that, yes, it's being told visually, but you still have to have a compelling enough story to capture somebody's attention. So I tend to believe that style of writing cannot be marginalized by saying, well, it's just a comic. The story still has to be there, and because of the constrictions of the comic, you only have so many pages, you have so many panels, your bubble is only so big for people to say things or do things or say things or to put any expository stuff. It's still a difficult medium, and it requires a certain amount of talent.
That it is. The way my books are done, I have people, they'll look at the artwork to be like, wow, this is a good book, but I read it, but it's something I feel that I missed it here. I got to read it again. Yeah. Because I know it's something that I missed in this story here, and they go back to read it again. Because a lot of my stories are, African based in the sense of African spiritualism. Spirituality, I should say. A lot of my books are based off, as far as dreadlocks is concerned, based off the Kemetic mysteries. Something like Mighty Thor, he has the Pantheon of Asgard. Dreadlocks has the Pantheon of Kemet, or Egypt as we know it today. Okay. And I add a lot of that into the story or whatever, and I feel that this is information that actually needs to be out there. I may not be able to hit it on every point as far as what the mysteries are all about, but at least I can give people, not just kids, but I give people an understanding of us, and a lot of times it opens their eyes up to other things, and when they miss what they read in the comic, they say, man, the art was good, I have to go back and read this because there's something in there that was powerful there, and I know it was. Right. I have to read that again.
Yeah, I remember back when I was reading comics, and one of the things that I did was, when I got a new one, like let's say I was waiting for the next Spider-Man edition or Superman or whatever, when the comic came out and it was in the machine, and you would have to put that 15 cents in the machine or 12 cents in the machine, excuse me, I would run home, I would read the whole thing, and I would read it fast. And then once I was done reading it to find out what the cliffhanger was, then I would go back and read word for word. So it's not, like you said, it's not a single read experience for most people. I mean, not that I'm that different or that I'm that average. I think I'm average because that would just blow my whole ego thing. But I mean, seriously, when you do that, obviously kids read them over and over and over again, and they develop their favorites, and they go back to them, they trade them, they give them to their friends. So it's a very, very vital, very lively medium in which to write. And the other thing is, you mentioned going and bringing forward the Egyptian
Pantheon.
Yeah, Pantheon. I was
Pantheon.
Yeah, Pantheon. And that does two things too. Yes, it provides, a little bit of knowledge about the culture, but it also gives you a consistency of construction, for your writing and your stories, because that it provides an external framework where, you keep things consistent, you keep things realistic. You don't want to write anything that is so jarring it forces people to suspend their suspension of disbelief.
Right.
So I like all of that. I mean, let's just take a commercial aspect. Look at the success that MGM had with Stargate SG-1. Starting out with all of the different cultures from the past being brought forward. You're doing the same thing with obviously success. How much research do you do?
I've been studying about Kemet since '89, and I'm still reading to this day. So you figure 89 all the way up to now. That's like maybe 20 years. Well, not 20 years, but
I mean, that makes a lot of sense. I
tend to think
of a lot of years, and I tend to think that creativity is always a work in progress, because I don't think there's an end point. I mean, do you ever reach a point where you go, oh man, I know everything, I don't need to work on anything anymore? I don't think that truly creative people get to that point.
Because something always pops up in our mind again. Oh, I can do this like this. You know what I mean? Something always, that spark always just hits us all the time. No matter where we are, you can be in the middle of your sleep, just wake up.
Yeah.
Wait a minute, I got it right here. I need to put this on paper.
Yeah, I tried doing that, putting a pad of paper next to my bed, and then in the morning I realized that while I'm asleep or when I'm in my dream state, I can write cuneiform very, very well. The problem is when I wake up, I can't read a damn thing that I wrote. So there's a drawback to that.
Right.
So you mentioned the movie. Is this going to be a full feature?
Yes,
that you're working on?
We're looking at an hour and a half movie.
Okay.
Or close to it, if not. It'll be an hour and a half. It'll be a full-length movie. Like I say, Brother Robert Mathis, he's working on it right now, and we've already did the designs. I had a lot of hands-on experience going on with it, so it's going to be very powerful. Like I said, for 1 hour and 30 minutes, and the premiere will be at the Motor City. The screening, I should say, will be at the Motor City Black Age of Comics this year, which is September 27th.
Yeah, again, all of that should be on the events calendar here, because for me, like you said, it's just a 4-hour drive. Well, it's
right.
about 3 hours for me if I don't get caught. But,
right. Well, I understand.
Yeah.
Well, what I'm waiting on is once I get to my halfway point with the movie, then all the mediums, such as Black Science Fiction events page, Motor City Black Age Comics events page, all of them will have it posted everywhere. Once that happens, and then I have a very strong sister that works behind me or with me or whatever as it relates to promotions.
Sure.
She's going to make sure that I get that out there. Her name is Maya Crown Williams. She'll make sure that happens.
Are you thinking of multiple city premieres, or are you just going to concentrate on doing it up there?
Well, I want to do the screening right here in Detroit, and I want to do I may do like some previews in the different other cities. You know what I mean? Because a lot of times at screenings, say if you have hard copies at screenings, a lot of times people want to get the hard copy after they watched it.
Sure.
And a lot of times, if you don't have the hard copy and people have came to the screening, what happens, they want a hard copy, you don't have any on file or none there with you. So you end up missing out.
Yeah, it's definitely a missed opportunity. Plus, you might get like that woman who was upset about your whole everything, and nobody wants to have to deal with that at a screening or a nice event.
Correct.
Down here in Chicago, we've got C2E2 next year. If you want to try to do a screening, because that comes early in the spring, late winter.
Right.
Let me know, because I have access to 3 different theaters here where you could possibly do a screening, and I think that would be great to be able to do something down here, maybe even brand it as a an urban style comic / BFSF, Black Science Fiction Society screening, because there's a lot of members here, and Chicago is not a hard city to travel to. So I would love to see
not at all.
something like that happen. So we'll stay in touch through the rest of this summer, and hopefully we can make that happen. And to do something that's off-site from C2E2 is not difficult. C2E2 is normally at McCormick Place, which is, of course, on the lakefront. And one of these theaters is not far. It's on Roosevelt. It's the Icon Theater. Very nice. You can do a lot of things with them. So I would love to see you be able to pull that off and to do it because it's not that far from your home.
Oh, yeah, I would love to do that. And I will be keeping in contact with you.
No, that'll be good. I mean, you might not be able to stay at my place, but I'm sure we can put you up someplace.
We'll work it out.
We'll work it out. Yeah, okay. So other than the movie and like really, I mean, you've got 2 big goals that you've talked about. I mean, actually 3. Obviously, you want to build your distribution here in America. You want to build your distribution overseas at the various in the various countries where you get the most interest, and you've got the movie. Do you have any other projects or any other things that you've got in the back of your head that you want to work on?
Well, the only thing that I have, one of the things I have, that's in fruition right now is, like I said earlier, the Motor City Black Age of Comics.
Sure.
I established that right here in Detroit, along with actually his brother named Abayomi Allen that started it, and he invited me to come along the first year as a guest, and the next thing you know, I ended up, being a part of it, and the next thing you know, I had a brother named Mark Blackshear, Maya Crown Williams, and, she does the most as far as the Motor City Black to putting it together, so that being said, that's really my big thing right there is the Motor City Black Age, because a lot of people right here in Detroit on my home front still don't have an idea of how many of us are actually doing black comics, graphic novels, animation, anything of that nature. They still don't have a clue of that. So with the Motor City Black Age of Comics, it allows them to come out and see that there's more to it than what they see on BET.
Sure. Now, what was the attendance like for the most recent one?
The one last year, my attendance, I had about 500 people on the last one. Now, remember the first one, I shouldn't say remember, but the first one that I had 10 people there, right?
Okay, yeah.
Year 2, maybe 20 people. Year 3 had maybe 75 to 100. Year 4, which was last year, we had 500 people there. And it was all because of the locations and everything.
Right.
Once we changed the location, everybody was familiar with the location where it was.
Where
Hello?
you have a fire at your house?
No, it sounds like someone else. I ain't got a fire going on.
Yeah, all these other people ought to be muted here too. So it is gradually growing. How many years have you had it now? 3 years, did you say?
This will be the 5th year.
Fifth year? Okay.
5th year, right.
All right. And still, I mean, it sounds like it's growing. Are you pulling in people from across the country?
I have a lot of people come in from Chicago.
Okay.
Last year was so many artists and creators from Chicago.
Right.
Which, I had much love for them because they didn't have to drive out this far. But like you spoke on earlier today, that's only 4 hours, but if you don't get caught, 3.
Yeah.
There, a lot of them are coming out again this year as well. I'm trying to get more individuals more artists and creators from the East Coast out this way.
Okay.
Because, it seemed to be a big thing when I go out east. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's a big thing when I come out there. They're glad that I'm out there and things of that nature. That the fan base, they be glad to see me. And I'm glad that they come, they all come to my booth and share the love or whatnot. But I would like to see more of them coming out to the Midwest. And I really would love to see Brother Dawood come from Atlanta to Detroit, because he's one of the ones that's been doing it for a long time with Brother Man.
Yeah.
I think it would do him just good if he came up this way as well. I'm talking about some big names like Dawood.
Right. Do you think that the fact that Detroit has the reputation that it has, that it's in some way kind of slowing the growth? Maybe you're not getting as much growth as you could have had you been someplace else?
Well, I wouldn't necessarily say that. I would say it was the location of Detroit. When you look at it on the map or whatever, what's around Detroit, basically just Canada for the most part.
Well, that's true.
Windsor, that's it. As far as the reputation is being spread throughout the media, I wouldn't say that because that same reputation is in all these other cities as well.
Oh, no, not in my city.
No.
We shoot people late at night. We shoot people late at night when they're out where they're not supposed to be. But when they're at the cons and downtown and behaving okay, we tend to let things go.
And that's how it is here.
Yeah, and that's really how it is most places. But you get those reputations, and then just 20 years ago, downtown Detroit looked like Beirut, but it's a lot different now, and people just they go by inertia. They're ignorant. They don't know. They don't pay attention.
Right.
Excuse me. So I mean, it looks like you're getting some steady growth, and I think
I'm getting constant growth. That's what I say. I wish more people would come out from the east or whatever. But the East Coast have a whole different vibe, I think, of things. This is different there. They're more culturally aware as far as certain things, and that's why I think I would love for a lot of them to come out this way or whatever. Because Detroit, Detroit was the mecca of black consciousness back in the 60s, the 50s, and 60s. But somehow that got lost somewhere. But we got brothers starting to make a mark again. But I'm glad that we have cats coming here from Chicago, Ohio, Western Michigan, Pennsylvania. We still get a nice crowd of people here.
Sure.
Looks like a Midwest show.
Do you? Well, I mean, do you think that your attendance at some of the East Coast venues would, and with a really good push to try to bring people in, do you think that that's something you might have time for to help build up, a little bit more of an attendance and a following? Because people, once they get in the habit of going to a certain show, they go.
Right. Right, exactly. That's the whole thing. Because it's like this, the way I see it. We have four Black Age of Comics that I know of. One is right here in Detroit, Atlanta, Philadelphia, and there's one in Chicago. I don't know exactly when it is. But needless to say, if we hit all four of these shows or whatever, the following gets bigger and bigger.
Right.
At every show. All of us are if we're concerned about money, all of us are going to make money, if that's all we're concerned about. But if all of us aren't just concerned about money, we all about, the genre, and we're all about exposing what we have to, to the youth or whatever, and letting them see what we're doing so they can be motivated, then that's also a plus as well. When you hit all these shows, it's going to make that movement bigger than, it was 20 years ago when Turtle only first started it. And
well,
that's the whole purpose.
Yeah, and this is good for you because, I'm sorry, what month does the show usually, what month is it?
Motor City Black Age is September the 27th, which is the screening. And
I was going to say that. Yeah, that's right up your alley. I mean, all of your stuff is coming together, and that should be huge,
Correct. I agree. And that's what I'm aiming for. And if I can get, other artists here, that's cool. I got a lot coming, and I have a lot of them right here in Detroit. There's so many artists in Detroit that are doing comic books that are just off the chain that really need to get further outside of this region so people will notice them.
Right, and people don't normally associate Detroit as a mecca of art,
Well, they should. We have Motown. We had Dwayne McDuffie. We had Larry Strowman.
No. I'm not. I don't mean that in the realistic sense. I just mean that in the sense of, people's expectations, their prejudices, their, that kind of thing.
Right.
When you say Detroit, of course people think of, oh yeah, that was Motown back then. Oh yeah, that was automobiles. So the thing about the growth of all of this art and digital tools being what they are to make it easier and more accessible to more people, I think that there's just an inertia that we're all trying to overcome just to get people to know that these things are now available, these towns are having these shows, things like that. Right. I'm definitely going to try to come to the show in September.
Okay.
Well, no, I'm serious. If I can get this ankle bracelet off by then, I'm definitely coming.
I'm sure you can go. I'm sure you can go up to 300 miles.
No, only about 50 feet from the house. I can get the mail. I can, sometimes I can walk down to the Mexican food place, but I just have to be careful. But seriously, I would like to, I want to remind you, maybe in August to start posting up things on the site so that, excuse me, people can see, what's going to be at the show, who's going to be at the show, definitely to take a look at your premiere and things like that, because I don't want people who have an opportunity to go to miss that opportunity for not knowing about it, okay?
Correct. We'll start posting on there as of July, because that's when everything should be more solidified as far as what we're looking at as far as the animation. We should have our first, preview. I got a cover I already done as far as the poster work is concerned. So I'll post that on there real soon as far as the events page for Black Science Fiction.
Okay. we're at the point in the show now where we're going to open it up to people who have called in, and anybody can also type any questions in the TalkShoe chat room, that any questions that they would have for you. And so what I do is just so that you know, this is like apparently a running joke for everybody else, but the fear of anybody who does radio for dead air, I ask, does anybody have any questions? And then they don't say anything. So watch this. So you're listening to Genesis Science Fiction Radio, a service of the BlackScienceFictionSociety.com website. This is the May 31st, 2013 edition, and our special guest is Andre Batts, and we're going to open it up for anybody who has dialed in. If you have any questions for our guests, what have you to say? Oh, see.
Can you hear
somebody,
me?
Yeah, I heard you.
Yeah, Andre already knows who this is.
Oh,
how y'all doing tonight? Y'all all right?
Real good. How you doing?
This is Crown, who he was speaking about earlier, his business partner with Motor City Black Aid. And I was just calling mostly for one, give more information for the conference, which is September 27th and 28th.
Sure.
Motor City Black Aid, the admission is free. It's for all ages. We welcome not only adults, but we also welcome children of all ages, as well as encouraging elders, because one thing about it is that elders get forgotten a lot, and elders are very excited when they see stuff from their own community, stuff that they were not available when they were children and they were our age. And we had elders there last year who were in tears. They were so excited to see African comic books. 2 rooms full of African comic books. So we always want to make sure that we not only encourage our age, but also the age under us and the age over us as well. So our conference is welcome for everyone. We have 2 to 3 rooms of vendors. Our vendors come from Detroit all the way to California. We have Jason Reeves. We have Sean Allen. We have Martin Norwood, Abdul Rashid, Clifton, Jamal Perry. We have a lot of different vendors that are participating in this event. We have caricaturists to cartoonists. We have self-publishers to writers. We have workshops. We have lectures. We have live performances. We're going to have live art from the one and only Sabrina Nelson. We have LaShawn Phoenix Moore performing. We have comedians performing. We have a lot of stuff going on this year. And the first night...
wait.
Am I talking too much?
You can't give us the whole itinerary of the whole show.
Right, you really can't.
You have to post that up. But I mean, it sounds like you guys have a ton of stuff that's going on.
Yeah, we do.
And you've got something for everybody, more than something for everybody. You got multiple somethings. So definitely, the important part is to keep us posted here on the site. Keep the event calendar, full of all of the details, so that if kids are
that was another reason why I was calling in, because I heard you say that, and we do have that up. We had it up last year, and I also updated it this year, as well as posting it on different blogs. I've had different artists call me because they saw it.
We'll have more of it before you come to live.
Right,
for sure.
So we'll just have it more. We have a new flyer. I need to put that on the website as well. But we also have a strong online presence, period. So we've definitely been promoting it and the importance of the event, period, because we're one of the very, very, very few where it's free to go to, period. You know what I mean? Because we want to make sure.
That's true. Yeah, you want to get people in the door.
We want to make sure everyone can afford it. If a mother has 6 children, she's gonna bring all 6 of her children. Some people catch the bus. Some people don't. It gets expensive after a while. Even if you say it's only $5, it's like how much does that queen have to spend? Period. She may want her entire family to come. So we want to make sure that our event is always accessible to everyone. And what I was saying was the first day is a meet and greet for the artists, and that's why I felt it was important for me to say that, because just like we want to network with our consumers, we definitely want to network with each other, and artists need to meet and network and share ideas with one another. So that's what the first day is, as well as for the movie. And then the second day is the main day. That day is the day of the convention.
Right.
So that's
they'll see all that when we post more of that later in the later date. I'm sure he already knows that because I spoke on that a little bit earlier today.
Well, not only that, but you know what? As we get closer to the event, you know, there's an awfully good chance that we'll pull you back onto the show, so that you can talk a little bit more about the convention and give people the latest on what the exciting things are that they can see. I do want to, I'm very glad that you said that it was free admission, because, as you said, it's very expensive to go to these things. And if you have 3 or 4 kids, it adds up.
Yes,
it adds up. And making it accessible like that is great. And I applaud you guys for doing that, because a whole lot of people, you know, it's just about making money, and oftentimes that's one of the things, one of your crucial demographics, one of your key customers can't come because of cost.
The woman.
You know, and so you don't want to have to put a stopper in that makes it inaccessible to the very people that you are, who are your customers. So thank you for bringing that up. I really appreciate it.
And we have a website, and I'm about to get off, but I just wanted to make, we have a website also that is active. So if anyone would like further info, it is linked to all of our Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Pinterest pages. It's motorcityblackage.weebly.com. motorcityblackage.weebly.com. So if anyone would like to contact us after this event, then they can feel free to either find us on Facebook under Motor City Black Age of Comics or our website. And thank you so much.
Okay, well, thank you. Thank you for dropping in.
All right.
And peace, brother.
Peace, Daryl.
All right, so, you know, I'm looking, there's a few questions here. Someone asked me, am I going to put some butter on that ankle bracelet and get that thing off so I can go see the world? Somebody asked here, would you possibly be opening up yourself to doing collaborations with other Black content producers like the Chronicles? I'm sorry?
Say it again. It sounds like somebody said they need more gasoline.
Oh, Vaseline on my ankle to get that bracelet off.
Oh.
Anyway, I mean, have you thought about doing collaborative work with other people, or are you pretty much tied up with doing your own brand building?
Well, I'm in the process of doing collaborations. We're in the process of putting some things together, and some people may be shocked on one of the collaborations. But I'm looking at it being done in 2014. But the groundwork is being laid right now. So yeah, you don't. I mean, don't give up any trade secrets or anything that's still in, that you're not ready. But I think that's pretty cool, because there are a lot of Black content creators who are who guard their work, pretty jealously, because people will steal your ideas in a heartbeat, and sometimes it's harder to do a collaboration because of people's natural, their human nature.
Yeah, and their protectiveness of their own ideas. I think that it's great that you're thinking about doing a collaboration.
I was part of a collaboration last year called War of the Independence, that was done by Dave Ryan out of New York, New Jersey. He did a collaboration with me, Lucius Hammer, Captain Africa, Blackjack. It was several characters in this book. There's a lot of us in there, but it was very minimal as far as how many pages it was and how many books it was, I should say.
Sure. Now, is that something that's available now?
I don't know if it's available now. I'm supposed to be getting access to it sometime soon or whatever because it was out of print because of some diamond preview issues.
Okay. Well, again, post up when all of that stuff comes available so people can take a look at it, because obviously there's a number of people who are interested in your work, and the more you let people know where it is, obviously the better off it is.
Right.
Anybody else have any questions?
Yeah. This is H. Wolfgang Porter. How y'all doing?
Good.
Calling from the Florida wilds of the Florida outback. Real beauty, that is. But anyway, I missed the first part of the show. What was your specialties and what was it you do?
He's a comic creator
I asked him. I didn't ask you.
Oh well,
I can barely hear him, so that's why it's like he's on the speakerphone.
What he asked was I think he's in his car trying to dodging the police coming up from Florida. But what he asked was he just wanted a quick recap of the kinds of things that you do.
Well, I'm a self-published comic book creator. I have my own comic book convention. I'm an artist, writer. Wow. That's just a few. That's in a nutshell.
Yeah, and a real easy interview, and I think people who show up to the show late deserve what they get.
Hey, I got a legit excuse. I'm on my way to film a TV show, so hey. So I
what's his name?
Wolfgang Porter.
Wolfgang Porter?
Yeah.
Okay, I gotta remember that name. I have to remember that name.
Yeah, I'll give you the lowdown on Wolfgang after the show's over.
Thanks, I appreciate that.
All I can say is all the information that he will give you has been misinformation.
Oh yeah, okay. Now you're probably. I mean, obviously you're still doing. The comic is ongoing, but. Do you have the whole story mapped out for the movie? I mean, is that done, and are you kind of in the art stage, or are you?
That's done.
Oh, the art is done, or the story's done, rather.
The art is done, and the story is done.
Okay.
Like I said, the only thing now is some of the dialogue has to be done, but then the animation will take place. And once that's done, we're good. We'll go look at it, and then we'll release it to the public.
Sure. And tell me a bit about the process. How did you find doing the process since this is the first one that you've done?
It's pretty rough. It's a lot of work. I'll say that.
Yeah.
You see things differently than you would like in the comics or whatever. It's a big difference. And some of it is the same, but for the most part, it's pretty rough. I would do it again and again and again, because everything you start off with for the first time is always rough.
Sure.
Just like with the comics, the same thing. Like I spoke on earlier today. When I went to my early comic book conventions in the early '90s, it was rough. But now when I go to the comic conventions, I'm more than happy to be at all of them now.
Okay. Someone asked a question here, and I apologize that I didn't get to it right away because they made a frowny face. But what kind of panels are you going to have, and are you planning on having any with female comic book artists and creators? Yes,
I have Kim Mosberry. That's going to be Kimberly Mosberry. That'll be there. She's done some
from
work
Chicago.
For comics.
She's from here. Yeah.
Matter of fact, she's going to be working on one of my books as well. Queen Nubia, and we have Yorley Huff that's going to be here out of Chicago as well. And Yorley sat on the panel last year, and I'm sure her and Kim both, or one of them, be on the panel this year
as
well. And if there are any other female artists or creators or writers or whatever that want to be part of the panel or go through a workshop, we'll be setting all that up within the next 2 months, so we'll know exactly what we'll be doing when the show actually gets here.
Wow. Do you think you might have any room for a Japanegro novelist?
So you said who?
A Japanegro novelist. That would be me.
Oh,
being half black, half Japanese.
What they call anime. Yeah, if it's in lines of creativity, we have room for everybody, as long as it's nothing negative, for sure.
Yeah, I would really like to attend the show just as a spectator, but I mean, if an opportunity presents itself, I'd love to have a forum. But I mean, that's far down the road. So you're going to have panels with women, yeah. We're going to have art workshops. As Sister Crown spoke on earlier today. We're going to have the workshops, all-day sketching. We're going to have writing workshops, the business workshop, developing your character workshop, which Joe D. McPhee out of Chicago, he did an excellent job on that last year. I just had to have it back this year again to do it again. We're going to have a brother named Keith Young or whatever doing the coloring Photoshop workshop. Sure. We got Sean Eileen is going to be doing a workshop, which he's out of Philadelphia. He's going to, he's an excellent artist, Sean Eileen. We're going to have him on board he's going to do a couple of workshops, and Abdul Rashid's going to do a couple of workshops. Yeah, we're going to be putting everything together as far as the times and everything, but yeah, all that's going to be set in motion. Okay. Well, it sounds like it's going to be. It sounds like a full-on conference, convention. So, I can't see how you can't get more. Obviously more people coming in to check it out. Just me knowing and me getting other people to come and things like that. It sounds like a full-featured conference.
Well, it is, and we have access to the whole building. So the more people I get in the sense of comic book creators or writers, artists, the more that I get, I can open up the other rooms as well. So they'll have access to those rooms too.
Sure.
The gym, all this. We have room because we're going to have the people there as far as fan base, spectators, or people that just want to see. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We're going to have them there. But if artists want to make money or whatever, they want to come and enjoy what's going to happen in Detroit on September 27th and September 28th, they need to be here for that. Because, of course, I have a fan base right here in Detroit.
Right.
Myself. This is my home base.
Right.
So my people are going to come out and support Dreadlocks Urban Style Comics, hands down. But I want everybody else to get some exposure too as well. That's the purpose of the convention.
Somebody in the chat room wants to know, can you see yourself branching out with African characters in a feudal Japanese setting?
If I can get a good writer that can do something of that nature, I can see it. Because I'm open to anything that's positive.
Right.
You know what I mean? And creative. That's the whole thing. I'm open to that. But I would have to have somebody that can put it in perspective in the sense where if I read it, I can really gravitate to it. Because when you think of like Ashley Wood, she does an excellent job with Millennium Wars with what she does. And something like that. That's excellent work.
Okay, this is admin. I had a couple questions, but I'll just ask one at a time. We know you're making a movie. Could you tell us a little bit about the story of the movie?
Well, I'm not going to really expose too much of the story as it relates to the animated movie. What I'm going to do is post a lot of information within the next 2-3 weeks, because I'll have my first preview and then start talking about what the movie will actually be about as it relates to Dreadlocks.
Okay. Okay. Well, let me pick your brain once more. What about? Can you tell us a little about the game?
Now, the game is going to be based off of one of my other characters, Jihad AD. It's more or less like a, what can't necessarily say Gears of War type game. I would say Gears of War. It's more military based. That's what that is, because the character is a military type character.
Okay. Cool.
It's going to be hands on, that's for sure.
Now, when you talk about the go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
When I was in Atlanta back in August, I had my booth set up, and most of the kids that came by, it was very interactive. When I was at the Onyx Con, and one little kid, he played the game all the way to the 11th level, and he played the game almost all day, but he was really excited about the game. So by seeing the way the kids were responding to the game, I could see us actually doing it and it being a real, lucrative venture there.
Yeah, because I was trying to play, and they were all over there. I couldn't get to them.
You couldn't get to the next level?
I couldn't get to the game because those kids were on it.
Oh, right. Yeah, it was like I was surrounded by like 20 kids at once. It seems like, and they just kept on coming.
Yeah. What platform did you write the game for?
Once again, that's not my field or whatever. I would have to have Robert Mathis answer all those type of questions.
Okay.
As far as platforms are concerned, because I really wouldn't know, but I just know it's an exciting game. That's all I know.
I think that version was running on PC.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, that was on the PC, but it's on all platforms. And okay. Yeah, Xbox. It's going to be on all platforms, but that day at the show was on PC.
I could cut your development costs down with one suggestion.
What would that be?
If you make it an online game, you only have to write the code once.
Right. You're right about that.
Just an idea.
I'll have to get with him on that.
No charge. No charge for that one.
No charge for that? Okay.
No.
I always take, I love the free ones, and I just like to blow them up.
Oh, man. Hey, when you were coming up, I mean, you met one or two people who were kind of, supportive, and then, you went to your early cons, and they were kind of like, not so supportive. What really keeps you going? What's the thing that keeps you, and not like a maniacal drive or anything like that, but what's the thing that keeps you going, that kind of gives you pleasure, that makes you feel good about being in this industry?
What makes me feel good is the little black kids, the black boys or whatever, when they come and they see my comic book, the videos and the games, and how excited they get when they see it. They be so excited. And I'm looking at it like this is something that I never had or whatever, as far as, we had it, but they didn't look like us.
Right.
Now we have it, and it looks like us. And their reaction to every show that I do, their reaction, whether it's a festival or whatever, that motivates me more and more. That increases my drive to create more and do more consistently. Because once I see that, I'm happy. Now, if the little kids came to the booth, and they just like, man, what is this? And then I just have to give it up, but I don't get that type of response. It's very
that's
positive.
A good thing. Yeah, that's a good thing.
Right, and that's what motivates me more. Is just the kids' reaction. Whether I'm at someone's school or in a library, just the reaction. Like if they crowd me up after I'm on a panel or whatever with other people that are doing things. Like for instance, when I was out in Dearborn, Michigan, at a science fiction panel, I had a few books there with me, but the panel was on science fiction, on science fiction genres in the sense of Star Wars and Star Trek stuff like that. But after we were done with the panel discussion, there was so many kids, not kids that look like us, but kids that look like others as well, surrounding me, trying to get copies of Dreadlocks at that point in time. And I wasn't there to sell books. I was just there to be on the panel.
Right.
That
should be a lesson to you. I mean, every opportunity, and that's one of the reasons why, I insist on you and everybody else let people know where you are, and then from a business perspective, every single appearance that you make is not only an opportunity to clue people in on what you've got, what you've developed, what your creative world is like, but it is an opportunity for some commerce because, once people hear about it, obviously they're going to be excited about it. And if they're excited about it, you definitely want to be able to feed the beast.
Correct. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. So do you have, other than the Motor City Black Age thing in September, do you have any other appearances that are coming up, this summer where people might be able to bump into you?
Well, my next appearance before the Motor City Black Age will be the Pocket Con, which is right there in Chicago. I think it's July the 6th. I don't know exactly where it's going to be, but I can find that information out, I'm sure, in due time. But that's my next appearance. Then right after that, I'm planning on having a digital setup at the Onyx Con this year because I don't think I'll be able to make it. If I'm not able to make it, I'll have a digital setup where I'll have digital comics there. But I'll be here in Detroit at the African World Festival. And then after that, it'll be the Motor City Black Age Comics. Then after that, I'm looking at Detroit Fan Fair and the Mid-Ohio Con, Wizard World Mid-Ohio Con.
Okay. When you come to Chicago, give me a heads up so that we could grab lunch together, okay?
I sure will. I will do that, for sure.
Because obviously it's a pleasure interviewing you, but I would really enjoy the opportunity to meet you, too.
Oh, that's no problem. Yeah, I'll do that.
Yeah, because I've gotten some very good suggestions in the chat room of how I can get this bracelet off so that I can sneak out for an afternoon and catch up with you, man.
Well, I hope it works out for you. I hope you can get it off. I hope I don't.
I'm looking forward to it, man. Right. And then there's another question. Do you know of any upcoming African comics to look out for? And if so, where can they find more information about it? Are you tapped into other creative types and know their work enough to be able to maybe give somebody here a suggestion?
It's a book out there that has actually caught my attention or whatever. And it's called Cronus. I think it's Cronus versus Black Cloud. What caught my attention, because one, Sean Eileen did the artwork, but I like the story of it as well. That's one that's really caught my attention. Dread Society X has always caught my attention. I finally got my first copy of that 2 weeks ago. That's always had my attention. I'm trying to think who else. And I like Galto by Robert Garrick. I like his book. And Ajala by and Stephen Harris. These are the books that really catch my attention or whatever.
Sure.
And for the most part, that's it. The others, if I didn't name them, I guess, they're still there. They're still, part of my top. I just can't remember them right now.
Yeah, there's a ton of content out there.
Yeah, a ton of it. But recently is the Cronus book. That's really the one I really like the best. Yeah, that's the one I like the best.
Yeah, and so overall, do you have some people out there who are who influenced you, who may have given you a little spark, a little push, or may have just made it a little more exciting to do what you do?
Well, of course, family, they're always, number one as far as the influence and the motivation.
Sure.
As far as people in the industry, are you asking me that?
Yeah,
As far as the industry, not really, to be honest. Because like I was saying earlier, it's about, right now for me, it's about the kids. That's my motivational tool. Nobody in the industry is really motivate me except for what I see on the big screen, with Iron Mans and Avengers and stuff like that. That motivates me in that sense.
In terms of revenue potential?
And live action.
Okay.
That's motivating. Every time I see one of those movies, I get motivated. Whether the movie is a dud or whether it's good, I'm motivated by it. But kids, for the most part, that's my biggest motivation. The other artists and creators that are out here, we're all trying to do the same thing. Some are doing it on one level, some are doing it on another level. And like you spoke on earlier today, we try not to use this word, but we do have a lot of haters out there too.
Right.
And a lot of haters can really infuse a lot of bull crap in the game. And it's not even about that. It's all about the kids. And I don't think some of them understand that.
Yeah.
But that's what it is.
Now, when you talk to kids, who may get excited about what you do, and not just from a devourer of content, but from, let's say, someone comes to you and says, man, I like what you do. I would love to be able to get the skills of what you do. Do you have any advice? Do you have any books? Do you have anything that you can think of off the top of your head that can kind of point people in the right direction and give them a good start?
Well, I always it depends on what they want to, what direction they're headed in. Like if they're heading in, say, art, because I always get them coming to me about writing or drawing. It's never both of them at once. I may get one that's doing both at once here and there. But usually when it comes to the artwork, I'll recommend books like Drawing Comics the Marvel Way, Jack Ham, Jack Ham's figure drawing books. I recommend those books as far as the art is concerned because they're very simplistic or whatever. And there's certain areas as far as art is concerned that they're feeling that they're lacking. Because to me, all art is good art. It depends on who's looking at it for the most part. And I always recommend that for comics. That's what they should get into. When they want to talk about, getting out there and selling the book, I always recommend, I think, Tony Capuzzo, drawing and selling self-publishing comics.
Okay.
This book was written back in the early 90s. I recommend that book as well for writers as well as people who want to get into actual publishing, distribution, and how to get their books out there. That's a very good book on that. I don't know if it's still in print, but I recommend it.
Yeah, I would also imagine just practicing and learning how to draw people. Drawing people is not automatically easy.
No, it's not.
Which is
all
why
comes from the heart too. It comes from the heart as well. It comes from the heart as well, and you have to be able to draw what you see. I explain that to some artists as well. That's coming up. Some of the kids that are coming up. I explain it to them. They have to study their craft as well. They have to study that. That way they may, develop a love for it. Develop more skills at whatever they need to develop skills at.
And whatever level they just have to keep. I think, like I said, I believe I said it earlier that all artists, I believe, are works in progress.
Right.
Because you never finish. I mean, you're never finished. There's always something that you might be able to improve on. So now for you talk about, being able to develop your stories better. Are you still more into the art? Do you like the story? If somebody here wants to know which is, I guess they want to know which you like better, either crafting the story or going ahead and inking what you've done.
I still like it all. It's just the timing.
Okay.
I don't
chicken
have
and
the
the
time
egg.
to do it all.
Chicken and the egg. Which is going to come first?
Right.
It's
And
cyclical.
And this is what comes first. Since the character is already, the characters, I should say, are already developed. What comes first in my busy schedule is the story. So obviously, I have become fond of writing. That's my first love now. Because when my schedule being so tight like it is, I can't do both at the same time and, publish and, it's like 80 million things. So I keep the development of the character because a lot of people, if they're not, familiar with certain aspects of history, then they wouldn't be able to write the type of story that I would be looking for the character.
Sure.
Because it's not they're not just typical comic book stories. That you see in Marvel or DC and some of the other comics out here.
Right.
They have deep meanings to them. And with that being said, other writers will have to understand those meanings. Will have to be able to apply it to a story in order for, like, say, for me to draw and them write. And I learned that a long time ago at one of the earlier conventions that I went to. And this is the only good information that I got from somebody back at the Motor City Comic Con. I think it was back in '98. I think it was. A guy had told me, "You got a good project here in Dreadlocks, and I can see you going far with it." He said, "But if I were you, I would concentrate on one or the other." And that's when I started concentrating more on the writing of the story.
Yeah,
because I knew I had a story that I wanted to put out.
Sure. Jarvis is demanding in all caps that he wants Dreadlocks action figures. What's the likelihood of that happening soon?
Once I get somebody that can put it together for me, I've been doing some research for about a year or two. I got a sculpture of him right now, but that's just a sculpture. And once I can get somebody that can actually get me some molds going where I can get it, mass produced as an action figure, then it will be happening. I'm seeing within the next 6 months to a year.
That's great. All right, and then when you're at any of these cons, what kind of swag do you have? Do you have T-shirts? Do you have posters? Because everybody here is typing, "Oh, I want a T-shirt. I want an action figure. I want this. I want that." What kinds of stuff do you have?
Usually it depends on what type of show that I'm doing, and what type of booth that I have. Because if I have a pretty large booth, then I'll have everything there: posters, T-shirts, comics, just everything will be there.
Right.
But if I'm at a small booth, like a Artist Alley type booth, then I can't have everything there, but maybe the books and maybe some posters.
Sure. Well, can't they get all this stuff on the website?
Oh, but everything they can get on the website. Oh, yeah.
All right,
anything they want.
So all y'all typing that nonsense in the chat room, go to his website. It's www.urbanstylecomics.com and quit taking up my bandwidth. All right? Go to his website, go put some money down, and get whatever swag you want to get. Now they want autographed and numbered. I'm telling you, some people just,
Well, I've sent out autographed books. Some people order autographed books before, and I've sent those out.
All right, charge extra. That's my advice for that. Okay.
Right.
I sell my novels for like $20 a piece, and if they want it autographed, and I have to send it to them, then they got to pay $25 because
right.
You got to autograph it, you got to box it up, you got to send it out with postage. But seriously, for those people who are checking, who are asking those things, do check out the urbanstylecomics.com website. And also, if you don't see anything here, the website for the Motor City Black Age Comics Con in September, that website is motorcityblackage.weebly, WEEBLY.com. So you can kind of keep track there. And, let us know, if you don't mind, post up, what you might be doing at PocketCon, because I'll definitely swing by and see you. And we got a big Chicago contingent on the BlackScienceFictionSociety.com. Plus, how many artists we have down here in the city. I would like to see as many people get to meet you as possible.
Well, like I'm saying, I'll be out there July the 6th. I have to find out exactly where it is. First, I'll send that information out for you Sunday. I'll have more information on that. And I'll have, I'm looking at some T-shirts, posters, and the comics, of course. I have all my comics there.
Okay. All right. Now, you mentioned that the support of the family is obviously a good base for you to keep you going. Are you married? You have kids? I mean, I don't mean to pry too much, but tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, yeah, I'm married. Been married for 14 years. My wife is very supportive. My wife is very supportive of what I do. No kids. I have a dog. My dog is, he's the one that's not really supportive at times, because right now he would be barking, but I got him somewhere else right now. He put up somewhere else right now. But
and aren't dogs surrogate kids?
Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
And my wife, like I said, she's very supportive. My mom, my dad, my brothers, sisters, cousins, grandmothers, the whole family or whatever. They're very supportive of what I do. They spread the word on a consistent basis. And I got very close friends as well that are very supportive of what I do. And, and they help me stay sane in the sense of what I'm doing as well. They help me keep my sanity, with it as well,
Sure.
So I got that. And like I said, I grew up in Detroit, reading comics, drawing comics. Graduated in high school in Detroit. Everything is Detroit for the most part. Been to the military, went to the Navy and whatnot. Was there for a little while, and that also got me into the position of starting to develop, comics.
Right.
My own comics while I was in the Navy, and I work for the post office. That also helps me with financing as well. Post office. Some of my friends at the post office, a few of them, they give me much support as well. And I learned a lot actually from the way the post office do business. What I mean? That's how I learned also how to do business as it relates to urban style comics and distribution.
Right.
Believe it or not, you can learn a lot with companies that you work for or that you're affiliated with.
Well, if they're successful, you get to see what a successful business model looks like, and also if you pay attention, you don't make you don't make common mistakes. I mean, that's always good to learn from somebody else. Not a whole lot of people do that, and like I said earlier, not a lot of people do their due diligence about, they think doing a comic, doing a book, putting together, short movies, whatever, that the art side, the creative side is the biggest part of being in business, and it is not. It just is not. I mean, having to do marketing is huge. Marketing is probably the biggest thing, because if you don't do your marketing, you don't sell your stuff, you're going to be a failed business. Paying your taxes, doing your bills, all of that. Yeah, go ahead.
All of that, what you're saying is true, because it's just like if you're paying a freelance artist say $3,000 to draw one book.
Right.
How long do you think you would be able to get the money back for that? With on-demand printing and all this kind of stuff, you would be missing the whole point of why you're doing this. You will have artwork, but you won't be able to put it out. And
right.
if you're not able to put it out, then you'll never benefit from it whatsoever.
Right. Right. And people think just because they can do it, just because they created a comic book, that all of a sudden they're going to have a business model and be able to monetize their comic book like Stan Lee did with the Avengers. And
Right.
it just doesn't work that way. It just doesn't work that way. I mean, just doing it like what you do on your website. You're doing fulfillment on your website. So an order comes in, somebody has to take that order. They have to make sure that the payment came in. They have to make sure that they got the right thing. They have to box it up, send it out, and make sure that the customer gets it. And a lot of people go, oh, that's just too much work. But that's the business side of getting your stuff out there,
Right. That's what a lot of people think. But the way I have it set up, for the most part, I usually try to ship once a month or whatever.
Sure.
That's what I try to do to make that a whole lot easier.
Right.
It depends on how many orders I get in a month or whatever. It's not that many that I may ship out, sooner than by the end of the month. But usually it's the end of the month. Whatever orders I get at the end of the month, people usually get their books or whatever they order by the first week of the following month.
But
it
even
makes it
that,
easier.
Yeah, but even the fact that you do that you have regimented the process, that you have a procedure, most people don't get that.
You're right.
And it's very, very hard sometimes to get creative types to wrap their brains around the fact that the ugly little secret about being a creative artist is the fact that unless you have people that you're going to pay or you have people in your family who are going to do for you, the business side of it takes a lot out of you. And like I believe more than the creative side.
Right, and it does. And a lot of artists really don't see that.
Yeah.
And if they're true to their craft, then they would look more into it, and then they would see it.
And then there's those who go, let's say they approach a publishing company, and the publishing company says, we really like this, but we would like it if you could slant it this way so that it's more appealing to our target audience. And then they go, oh, no, I just write for me. I'm never going to change it. It's going to be exactly the way I have it here because it's pure, it's mine, it's this, it's that. And then I go, well, enjoy your job at Kmart, because, again, it's a business. I was at a networking meeting, excuse me for taking up your time, but and so people are sitting there who want to be screenwriters. And I guess, Tim Kazurinsky was there from Saturday Night Live, squirrely little guy from Saturday Night Live.
Right.
He was the guest. And so people are asking him, well, when I sell my screenplay to the studio, can I insist that I get to stay on the stage watch how the movie is made and be there to watch how the director does it so that I can make sure that my stuff is presented the way I want it to be presented. And I stood up and I laughed at him, and I felt bad because I probably should have had a better approach. But I said, once you sell it, it's not yours anymore.
Right, exactly.
You have no say. So, yes, you can maintain your artistic purity, but you run the risk of not selling unless you come up with something like you did with dreadlocks.
Correct.
Now you have something, but you're still in control. You haven't sold out. When you get to the point where you're that successful, and somebody comes along and says, we're going to give you $27 million for dreadlocks, what are you going to say, Andre?
Let me see. Should I say no, or should I do like Stan Lee?
Well, if you don't have your own pen on you, I suggest you borrow one quickly, because the part B to that is an opportunity like that may only come by one time.
Yeah, I know. I'm in agreement with that.
And if you have a very creative mind, you can always create something new.
Right.
You know, you can always find something new that feeds your soul. But $27 million is $27 million. Not a whole lot of people get $27 million. I mean,
I would pocket that. No doubt about that.
Absolutely, because you know what? If you have faith in yourself as an artist, are you really going to believe that you're a one-trick pony? That was your only shot? I hope not. You know, because I hate to see people stand on what they think is their artistic principle and not understand the vagaries of business and then lose out. I mean, look at what you could do with $27 million buys you sitting on your ass thinking up the next thing. That's what $27 million.
So many projects can be done with $27 million.
Oh, man, no kidding. You know, the community outreach, teaching kids, you know, there's a ton of stuff that you can do, and people are short, you know. I hate to see artistic types be short-sighted in that way and lose out. Yeah, so
I agree.
Yeah. So when they do come along with that $30 million check, for me having given you this advice, I think I'm entitled to at least 5%. So just make a little note of that.
Okay. Well, how about 2.5?
How much? 2 point?
How about 2.5?
Shoot, with that amount of money, do you think I'm going to argue with you? Oh man! So if you could do the exact one thing, if you didn't have to worry about money, if you didn't have to worry about paying the bills right now, would you be doing much different than you're doing now?
Well, I would say I probably would, you know, because I'll be able to go out and do all the shows that, like I was speaking on earlier, that I would like to do.
Sure.
Oh, hold on, man. Dog about to start barking and my alarm went off. But, sorry about that.
No, I thought it was call waiting, and someone was offering you that big ass check. Excuse me, that large sum of money.
Once she mentioned it, no. But yeah, I would do all the shows, and I would most definitely make all the shows that are in Philadelphia, Atlanta, Detroit, Chicago.
You would do the tour. Yeah, you would do the tour.
I would tour, but I would make those shows bigger as well.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Make them bigger than what they are. You know, so they could compete in the sense of with the Wizard World and the C2E2s. I would do that. I'll be living in California probably. You never know.
Yeah. You would move?
I probably would. You know, have a second house over there. I would still live in Detroit, you know, but I would live in California too. You know, summertime I'll be in Detroit. Wintertime I'll be in Florida or California.
Yeah, I'm looking at St. Croix. Let me tell you about St. Croix. All right, the U.S. Virgin Islands. Because of the, I'm gonna hip everybody to this. I am definitely moving my residency down there in the next few years, because with their treaty with the United States of America, in St. Croix, your tax liability for both business and personal is 5%.
Wow, that's not bad.
Yeah, think about that. That's like keeping an extra third of your money if you're a big ticket.
Yeah,
you know, that's a lot of money, man.
Yeah.
So think about that. We'll talk.
Yeah. I would tour a lot, like I said, and I would continue. I'll produce a whole lot of material. I have a nice staff. You know, it's a lot.
It buys you the luxury of time, and it buys you the luxury of help.
Right. The staff most definitely will be there. And everything, you know, everything that the kids are looking for and all the fans are looking for, they would most definitely get. T-shirts, hats.
Yeah, somebody was
I
complaining that it says somebody says that you're out of T-shirts on your website.
I'm sure I am. That's got to be updated.
Yes.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, I was calling you a phone call about the PocketCon, the address where it is, and so forth.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Where did you look it up?
Yeah, I have the web page. I was trying to email it over to you guys, but I couldn't get it. For some reason, I couldn't email it over to you.
Who's this, Brother Bakari?
No. You don't know me. I'm in Chicago. I just saw it. I went and looked it up for myself so you guys would have the address.
Where is it being held?
It's actually at a Chicago Public Library. It's at the Gary Comer Youth Center, 7200 South Ingleside, on Saturday.
Oh, man.
6.
That's not far from where I used to play around. My grandmother lived at 65th and Ingleside. Those are my South Side stomping grounds. Okay, so that's pretty cool.
Well, I don't know anything about the area, but I will be there. So July 6th.
It's not bad. You know, they're kind of gentrifying the South Side. There was money going in there before everything blew up.
Right.
No, that's actually not a bad area. So I would guess that the turnout is going to be pretty good.
Okay. Well, this is my first one that I'll be doing this year, so I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah,
I'm definitely looking forward to it.
And I'll find you a nice place where we can go and have lunch. How's that sound?
That will work.
All right. So I guess the last thing is, where do you see yourself? Let's look ahead 10 years. Usually I go 5 years, but we know what you're going to be doing for about the next 5 years. But where would you like to see yourself 10 years from now?
Well, like we spoke on a little not too long ago, you know, I would like to have a nice staff that can really push dreadlocks in the sense of marketing, promotions,
right,
writing the stories, you know, really being able to put out at least a book a month.
Right.
Being on that level on a consistent basis.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. Do you think you might branch out to another creative universe? Do you think you might find a whole new creative universe to play around in?
I've thought about it, you know, but I haven't, you know, pushed towards that. But I have thought about it. Because right now, you know, I'm going to stick with playing with what I'm messing around with right now. But I've thought about, you know, getting into other universes. Like I said before earlier, a guy named Dave Ryan, he did the War of the Independents, which is a universe that consisted of a lot of different characters. It was a major crossover of independence. But I'm looking at doing stuff that will, I guess, open the eyes for other people to see dreadlocks who haven't seen dreadlocks, but they'll see in other books. You know what I mean? And then it draws them to what I'm doing over here at Urban Style Comics as well.
Right. And then have that house in California.
Mm-hmm. And St. Croix, since you mentioned it, 5%. Can't beat that.
Man, that tax thing, I'm telling you, man, I mean, just thinking about 5%. And all you have to do, actually, you can still hang out in the U.S., but to qualify as a resident, you have to be down there for 6 months and a day. So I'm thinking for Chicago, that would be, let's see, October, November, December, January, February, March, April 2nd, and then I'd be back for the nice weather. Look,
right.
Andre, it's been a pleasure. We're coming up to the end of the show here. I want to remind everybody that this is Andre Batts, and he's got Detroit's Urban Style Comics, and you could check him out and all of his stuff out at www.urbanstylecomics.com. And he's also he's well associated with the Motor City Black Age of Comics Con, which will be this September. This is the Genesis Science Fiction Radio Show, a service of the BlackScienceFictionSociety.com website. This is the May 31st edition, 2013, and we're about to close out the show. And I'm going to ask Jarvis, our fearless leader, do you have any last words for us?
Hey, love, peace, and hair grease.
All right. And on that note, I'm going to thank you. Thank you very much, Andre. I really had a good time with you tonight. I hope you enjoyed it, too.
I sure did. And thanks for having me on the show. I really appreciate it.
And good night, everybody. Thank you very much for listening. And don't forget, tell your friends, every Friday, the show starts at 9 p.m. Eastern online. And if you miss a show, you can pick it up as a podcast at blacksciencefictionsociety.com. So on behalf of everybody here, I want to say good night to everybody. Buddy. 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 Buddy.